Okay, here we go. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the stream. Get my camera all embittered. There we go. That's me. My name is Mike Bifulco. I am Director of Technology for thegymnasium.com. I get on every Tuesday once a week to stream my dev process so that you can hear my thoughts and my experiences as a developer, and hopefully other people benefit from this. So, like I said, I run thegymnasium.com. We are an online code school. We offer all kinds of crazy, awesome courses on things like Node and JavaScript and building themes for WordPress and Drupal and user experience basics and time management and copywriting and all kinds of great, totally free, completely free, 100% free courses. You can go and register an account at any time. The courses are utterly self-paced, utterly free, video-based, and really, really, really good. So, to get started, actually, I guess I'll explain a little bit further, but Gymnasium is an open source project, which is part of why we're able to do this stream. It is built on an open source platform called OpenEdX. You can learn about that more at edX.org. OpenEdX.org is specifically where you can learn more about the open source part of the project. With that said, so I've got a number of things that I'm working on right now, and I was trying to come up with something that I could do on stream today that would be atomic and valuable and engaging, that wouldn't just be me getting lost in my brain while I'm working on things, because I've been dealing with some refactoring code that's actually been pretty challenging to do. So one of the things that I wanted to do and maybe start doing, and I'm certainly open to feedback on this, is to start doing random sort of applied code challenges. So in the process of speaking to some friends who are starting to interview for jobs in this world, it's been interesting to hear what people's job interviews experiences are like and the sorts of things they're doing. And along those lines, I am going to start to try to do a code challenge each week on the stream. Hopefully they don't take too much time, or if they do, we all learn something together. So let me, first of all, update my topic here, because I see that that's incorrect. Let me do that. Let's see, code challenge and new features for Gymnasium. Perfect. Okay. So, step 0. Let's talk about a code challenge. So here's what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm going to use JSBin as a place to do this. I'll do all my coding in JavaScript, JavaScript in JSBin or Node locally. Actually, maybe I'll do this one in Node. I'm uncertain. Node makes enough sense. So I will describe the code challenge. We'll walk through it, and I'll explain in pseudocode first what I'm going to do, and then go through a couple of different implementations of it, and get to what I would consider to be a reasonable answer, especially in the context of an interview. So let me open VS Code here. We can use this window. My shortcuts are all off. So I'm going to, okay. So first things first, let's talk about the code challenge. This is a rough description of it. It's called FizzBuzz. And let's do this as a markdown. Oh dear, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. So, this is the idea. The goal is to, given a range of numbers, in this case we'll start with 1 to 100. We want to print each number. If the number is divisible by 3, we will print the string fizz. If it's divisible by 5, we will print buzz. If it's divisible by both, we will print FizzBuzz. So you would expect to see something like 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, fizz, 7, 8 is, not confuse myself, 10, nope, that would be buzz, 11, and then fizz buzz, because it's divisible by both. And I guess I'll change these to lowercase so that we can be more semantically correctly good. Fizz buzz, there we go. So for every number you go through, if the number is not divisible by 3 or 5, you print just the number. If it's divisible by 3, you print fizz. If it's divisible by 5, you print buzz. And if it's divisible by both, you print the two strings concatenated to each other. This is kind of a typical programming question for a number of reasons. The place to start, and the reason this is an easy and good example to start with, is because there are a lot of different ways to solve this problem, and the chosen implementation talks a lot about how you, or will show a lot about your understanding of your own code. It also, one of the things that I think you may or may not see in an interview for a development job is, in some cases, I think you might end up submitting your code ahead of time, and in other cases they might give you this on the spot and watch you do the implementation. This will be obviously a display of the latter. I kind of think that's more interesting because it's more interesting to me to see how someone thinks rather than what their ability is, given infinite time. In my experience interviewing people, it's not always important that they complete the problem, rather that the thought process that the student, person, the interviewee has gone through is thorough and complete and sensible. So I'm going to go ahead, Gymnasium, let's do this. That'll still work? Yeah, that kind of still works. Okay. Let's open a folder. Source, Gymnasium, challenges, fizz buzz, there we go. Okay, save, please. Instructions. Great. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay. So we won't save these, I'm just going to create that file again. Source, Gymnasium, challenges, fizz buzz. We'll open that. Please. And we will readme.md is what I'll call this. Actually, I think that should be capitalized, shouldn't it? Oh, come on. Visual Studio is getting way ahead of me here. Readme, please. Great. I need you to automatically open it. Okay, so just for giggles. Oh my god, look at this. This is crazy. Please, stop, everyone. Great. Okay, so there's our instructions. This is all we should need to do to get started. I am going to implement this using Node this time because that's relatively easy to do. A lot of this will be done from VS Code, but also be using the command line for execution and initialization of the project. So let's do that. So we're going to do node init. Oops. Oh, even better. Oops. And npm init as well. So fizz buzz, sure. Fizz buzz code challenge. Entry point index, test command. Git repository, we don't have one yet. Keywords, code challenges. Right, that's me. That's my email address if you need to get at me. There we go, that's great. Okay, so now I want to create, I think I called it index. Let's say cat package. Yes, okay, touch index. So, create my index file, which should now exist in here. That's great. I'm going to close the instructions for now, because we don't really need them. And open this. So, this will be where the, and I don't need ESLint, I don't need any of this nonsense yet. Okay, this will be where the body of the code is written. So, fizz buzz challenge. So first let's do pseudocode. We'll explain what we have to do. Rules. if divisible by 3, print fizz. If divisible by 5, print buzz. If divisible by 3 and 5, print fizz buzz. For integers 1 to 100. Cool. Hope that makes sense so far. These are just the rules, so we haven't done anything having to do with implementation. This is simply a description of the problem. So let's take a look at this and we'll break it down. So it looks like we're going to have, at first blush, we're going to have something like, so this is maybe the first bit, so we're going to do loop through all numbers, 1 to 100, and then we're going to do some smart stuff, print. That's the general description of it. So before we even get into this smart stuff, we might just write the loop. So I equals 0, I less than equal to 100, I plus plus. Perfect. That's a loop. Oh man, I'm gonna have to shut off my linter here because it is complaining about my code. Oh come on, there we go. Okay. Oh yeah, and I'm writing in the wrong language. Anyway, there we go. That was why. Man, I haven't declared a variable like that in actually years at this point. Don't know where that came from. Okay, so let's put this stuff in here. So now we have a loop. We loop through all these numbers. We do some stuff and we print. So I'll start by printing the number. That's a good place to start. And if I go to my terminal here and I were to type no npm start, missing script start. Doesn't do everything for you. Start node index.js. Okay, we're going to put these in alphabetical order because I do. Add a comma so it stops complaining. Go back into my, well, actually Visual Studio has some nice things for this. So I'll create a configuration for Node.js. We're going to add a, yeah, okay, that's good enough. Launch program. So when I click play here, we should see some output. There you go. Printed 0 through 100 and exited. That's great. So, and I can scroll up if you want to see, just to be sure. Look at all those lovely numbers I printed. Okay, so now we want to do some smart stuff. So we might say something like, if I mod 3 is equal to 0, then we'll do some stuff. If I mod 5 equals 0, we'll do some stuff. Okay, so if you haven't seen this before, this is the modulus operator. It gives you the remainder of I if you divide it by 3 in this case. So if it's equal to 0, then we know it's equally divisible by 3. So here we're going to do console.log fizz and console.log buzz. Okay. So now we have 3 and 5 taken care of. When I run this, we'll see. Okay. This is a start, but it's still printing the 3. We don't want to see 3 if it's divisible by 3, and likewise we don't want to see 5 if it's divisible by 5. So we are going to say if I divided is divisible by 3 is not equal to 0, and I'll do or mod 5 is not equal to 0, then we'll do this bit. So we're starting to get the shape of this thing, right? If I launch, there we go. Okay, now we'll see that 3 isn't there. We're starting at 0, which is kind of a weird one. Yeah, we're going to start at 1 instead, so let me rerun here. Okay, 1, 2, fizz, 3, 4, fizz, buzz. Yeah, all that makes sense, does it? No, we're still printing 3. Ah. So, what this is saying is if it's divisible by 3 or 5, we don't print it, which is good enough. And then the other clause, so if I mod 5 equals 0 and I mod 3 equals 0, forgot a parenthesis, we're going to say console.log fizzbuzz. Look at that. Okay, so that adds for this third case up here. And if I run this, we'll see that we're getting closer. So the problem is that when I get to ones that are divisible by both, like 15 here is divisible by 3 and 5, I get fizzbuzz and then fizzbuzz, but we don't want that. We want just one or the other. So what you might do in a case like this, and I'm sort of walking through the progression of how someone might think through this problem if they're relatively new to development. But you would put an else case here. So the first one checks to see if it's divisible by both, and then it prints both of the numbers, and then the other ifs here look for 3 or 5. And then this clause at the bottom I think should still be good in this case. Ooh, sound is a bit muffled. Oh, it looks like I have 2 microphones going. Hang on. How's that? Any better? Mic check, mic check. Oop, there goes my tunes. Everything's going wrong. Justin, how's that sound? Hopefully that's a little better. Cool, much better. Yeah, I had 2 microphones on. Rookie move. All right, so let's, I don't remember if I ran it. I'm gonna run it again. Much more clear, lovely. Okay, so now it appears to work. This actually seems to be a solution for this problem. So we go through integers from 1 to 100, and we do all the things that we're asked to do, and we exit successfully. So this is a good approach, and this works. There are some ways that we can make this better. One of the things that is encouraged as a programmer is anytime you feel like you're repeating yourself, it should probably trigger something in you that there's something that you can do to rework your code and make it a little more concise. So I'm going to take another approach to this problem. So we're going to do, let's see, I'm going to copy this and just put it into a new file here so we can go look at that in a minute. So let's do this. So we're still going to start with the same loop, same kind of loop. We're going to say console.log. We're going to print something at the end. So I'll use I, which is my number here. So this, again, would just print out from 1 to 100. But this time I'm going to create another variable that will say let output equal nothing. And instead of printing the number, we're going to print the output. And so now we're going to build the output each time we go through and print once. So there will be only one print statement, and hopefully less of repetition in the if statements. So I'm going to start with if I mod, oops, I did not type I mod 3 is equal to 0. Then we're going to say output equals fizz. And then we're going to say if I mod 5 equals 0, output equals buzz. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So I'm going to save, I'm going to execute. So, so far we're just printing fizz and buzz and a bunch of blanks. So we're going to start with yeah, so what we need to do for starters here is get the number involved there. So we might start with output equals I. Great, so now we have 1, 2, fizz, all that stuff, but what we see when we get down to some of these is that 15, which should be fizz buzz, is just buzz because we're reassigning here. So we're going to use a plus equals here, which will give us fizz plus buzz if it's divisible by both. But that introduces another problem. Now, when we get something divisible by 5, it tacks the number on in front of it. So we're going to set this back to nothing, and I'll take this another step. I divisible by 3 equals 0, and I mod 5 is equal to 0. Output equals, I think I did this wrong. Well, it's not exactly what I want. So what I want to say if it's not divisible by these things, so just need to change one character here. So it's not divisible by 3 or 5, we're going to print the number. Okay, look at that. This is another workable solution to this problem. So you can see here that we've decreased the size of this quite a bit. So let me squelch this over here and just compare kind of the two solutions here. So I'll format this as JavaScript. Okay, so we went from about 12 to 22, 10 lines to, or down to 10 lines from 20 lines and a little bit more logic and a lot more branching in the code. Branching is sort of making mutually exclusive decisions. So like this whole block of code, this else clause here, only executes in some cases and whatnot, and is separate from this case, and it gets a little confusing. And there's definite repetition here, which we're looking to get rid of. Now, one thing that's worth noting here is that this operation is happening multiple times and is definitely being repeated. So we might further improve this for the sake of readability, comparability, and so, well, let me start by saying that at this point, this would be a really good submission for a solution to this problem. It's clear, it's concise, it follows all the rules. I obviously would want to see more comments on something like this in the real world, but that might just be relocating some of this stuff down lower. So now we can get into some more JavaScript-y things and try and break this down a little further. And one of the things that you might do is create a couple more variables. Divisible by 3 equals I mod 3 equals 0. So now we can make these tests their own variable, which is something that's not unique to JavaScript, but you know, is a definite nice thing to do. So we can say if it's divisible by 3, do that. If it's divisible by 5, do that. And what this does, if it's not divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5, this means now we've only written each of these tests in one place. So it did add some length to the code, but that's not the only important thing in the world. So I'm gonna merge this back in here and run this again. We prove to the world that this still works. That's great. So now we've got these couple of tests here that work, and so this is nice because let's say for some reason, you know, these tests were more disparate and we were testing for something from a database, you know, a true or false value coming back from an API or something like that. We could reuse this throughout the code, right? So, you know, if this test needs to change, we now only need to change this test in one place as opposed to going through all of the branches of the code to look for it. These names are very specific to the test, but that's okay in this case because it's a very specific problem. This is probably further than I would expect someone to go in a code challenge interview, but it's an interesting thought, you know, path to go down. There are other things you could do still to make this a little more concise. That JavaScript lets you do, specifically ES6 JavaScript lets you do even more of, but we could do something like let tests equals I mod 3 equals 0. Right, so well, let's see. We could do something like this. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating an array of functions, and we could essentially go through. So let's say this problem expanded and I wanted to check this for 3, 5, 11, 15, 22, and some decimal number for whatever reason. It would be nice to have just an array of tests that we could pop another test into, and if it passes all of the tests, then we spit out FizzBuzz. We might also do something like this, where we say, we define this as an array of objects, where we say test and output fizz. Now we're getting very JavaScripty. And now we say test is that, output is buzz. Right, so now we could declare rows and rows and rows of these things. And what we could do is modify this code further. I probably should have copied my code before I did this. We can still do that. I'll just put this here. We may come back to that later. Just really for the sake of showing off what's what. Of course, if you're working on a real code base, you'd use something like Git, and you could always go back to your old changes if you did something you didn't like. So now we can start to nest loops and make the code even smaller. So we could do something like tests.each.forEach. Great. You know what? I don't want to do it this way. I guess I can. Okay, test.forEach test. So we could say if test of I okay, I've done some poor naming here. Let's see. Test object. Do that. Dot test I. So now we're calling the test from within that. If it passes the test, then we do console.log output. Right, so now we can have this whole array of tests that we spit out, and we might say oops, not console, let. Okay, so this is a little less clear. So this is where the code is maybe starting to get too complicated for the problem we have, but if we had a bigger problem with many more tests to run, it might look like this. So we're running over each test. In each test in the array, we have a test object. We execute test object.test with an input of I. That gets passed into this function as I, which evaluates and spits out a Boolean. So if it's true, we print out the output, and pass the test is true. And then here we would say if passed test, if not. If it didn't pass any tests, then we're going to print the number. And actually this console, so, oops, let me fix that. I'm starting to forget things that I just mentioned. So output equals I. Then we still have console.log output at the end. So here we're going to say output plus equals test object dot output. Go. Okay. I certainly haven't tested this, but I would expect this to do similarly. Ooh, look at that. Test object is not defined. Oh, because this isn't an iterable. Let's see. Test stuff for each. Oh, I'm using this like a. There. I'm going to make my life a little bit easier here and install a node package, which then makes this code challenge. No, okay. Anyway, you can see where I was coming from here. I've got something wrong with my for each here. Oh, I see. It might be like this, test object. Maybe I broke everything. Oh yeah, something's broke there. Well, even better. So we could go further and further down this rabbit hole, and I probably should continue to debug my code like a good developer would. But you can see how code challenges like this lead into good coding practices, and how there's definitely many solutions to this. You could be more and more introspective about it as you go through and optimize your code for different situations. So the route we're going down here was for one that would involve many tests. Earlier examples were perfectly suitable if there were less tests, we definitely evolved from something that was a little difficult to read to something that was much better to read. And if you're here and you're hanging out in the chat, we have our JavaScript Foundations course on the website. Justin just shared that. You can go and enroll in that course and check this out and try for yourself if you want to learn JavaScript, if some of this stuff is new to you. I should say that this code also would run just as well on JSBin. I chose to implement it locally in Node. Really doesn't make much difference in this case. And we can do that if I come back to this bin and I drop this here and I hit that. Oh, right, this is my new non-working code. Let's grab some old working code, maybe. Console, there we go. Sweet, yeah, still works in JSBin here. So I can save this. Save snapshot, yeah, great, okay. And I can definitely share this on a tweet later on, should we need to. Okay, so that's more or less all I wanted to accomplish with a code challenge for this week. I definitely went further into it than I had expected to, but hopefully if you're here and you're hanging out, that was valuable for you in some way. Let's switch it up a bit here. So I'm going to, actually I already have, running in the background is my OpenEdX install here. This is my local dev stack, which is my virtual machine that runs Gymnasium on it. And I'm going to switch to a new clean branch, and we can work on some new goodness. Okay, goodness. Okay, so I realized you can see this working on jobs JavaScript. Perfect. So stashed some code changes. I'm going to pull down my develop branch, grab the latest version of it because I should. That is not what I meant to do at all. Sometimes Tower and I don't get along super great. And actually I didn't even need to do that, but maybe that's my OCD kicking in. So we're going to, let's pull up the backlog. I'll show you what we're going to work on today. My other window here. Okay, so in the project window, so there are a number of things in here that are closed out that have been completed already. Excuse me. And plucking through these, I'm trying to think of which of these. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see this. Pull this onto my screen here. There are lots of these that would be a bit of a longer example to run through. Let me see. Got to resize all my windows now. All right. So one that I wanted to work on that I'd been looking at recently was this one here. Dashboard should display highest final course grade earned is one that I was poking around with recently that I thought would be interesting to explain. Just put it into my current sprint. I know that's bad practice. Do as you do, not as I say. And let's see. Oh, there's another one I had pulled up. Maybe I put this into the... Huh. Yeah, I don't see it anymore. I must have moved it. Okay, well, at any rate, is it in here? Oh. No, it's not. That's not the one I was looking at. Okay, well, anyways, let me explain a couple of these. We'll work our way through some of these simple ones. Ooh, I think this is the one I just moved in. Maybe this is it. Okay, so there are a few things going on here. Bookmarks tab displays duplicate titles. There's bookmark functionality within OpenEdX in these recent versions. And as you can see inside of the bookmarks display, in some cases we get duplicated titles. So I'll show you what that looks like if I log into my instance here. Goodness. Alright, I need to fix this. Hang on just a second. Alright, and we're back. So, yeah, it's warm in here. Let me kick on my Nest. Alright, so this issue, this should be fine now. Sweet, okay. So this issue that I just pulled up, the duplicate bookmarks. My password manager, get out of the way here. If I go into a lesson, actually, come to think of it, I may have this behavior hidden right now. Nope, okay, great. So if I bookmark this lesson, and let's go into the Trinity of Web Design. Ooh, it's running slow. And bookmark this. And if I open up my bookmarks pane, two great examples. So final exam shows up here, as well as lesson 2, Hello World, coding pages and fixing problems, the Trinity of Web Design. The Trinity of Web Design. So the last bit is repeated. There's going to be a little bit that we can do here and there to fix some of this stuff. In the case of the final exam, we'll be able to get rid of one of these duplicates, hopefully, but not both, I don't think, unless I write a special case. So let's get into this. And I'll show you the logic behind how these things get displayed. Hopefully this is big enough for y'all to see. All right, into the code base we go. So here's if this was an entirely new code base to me, this is exactly what I would do to find out what's going on. So I would grab an item with my inspector. In this case, bookmark link 0 is an ID that is given. That's an ID which might be hard to track down because they're all going to have increasing numbers. So we're going to grab list item left section, and we're going to search through the whole code base for that class. Look at that, bookmarks list dot underscore. There are 2 of them. I suspect. Okay, so let's look at how this gets used here. So we're gonna have to do the usual messing around with how theming works, but I'll do this as a proof of concept. Oh, we don't have underscore installed. No, that's okay. Not a big deal. This is readable. I'm just gonna set this to be Django. All right, so we can see inside of here, this is the template that gets loaded for each of the bookmarks. So it goes through the collection of bookmarks, and then it grabs each bookmark and iterates over it. And the index, see, this is what I was talking about, that index is used to create this ID with a number at the end. So it says bookmark link -0 for the first one, 1, 2, etc. So it creates a breadcrumb trail with some really annoying code. Okay, so let's break this down. Man, there's so much garbage going on here. Okay. So, excuse me. This line creates bookmarked on and then the date. That's this here. The one above it creates the list of breadcrumbs that we were just looking for. You can see that it does that by iterating using this map function. I'm not sure what pluck does. That's an interesting one. I've never seen that before. So when you see this underscore, it's using a library called Lodash pluck. This is a JavaScript library that is fairly commonly used, I should say, across JavaScript, this and that. Pluck. Okay. I wonder if this is from an older version. What happened to Lodash pluck? Look at that, it must have been deprecated. Realizing Lodash no longer supports pluck as a Lodash 4.x. So we're using an older version of Lodash, which we can deal with. Come into the docs. We'll grab an older version. Okay, pluck gets the property value of path from all elements in the collection. Oh wow, what a monster this is. Okay. So, pluck iterates over everything in there. It returns an array. So this is the user's array. It iterates over users, and for each user, it returns the value of users.user in this case. Confusing, but fine. So that's why we get Barney and Fred back here, rather than Barney 36, Fred 40, or 36 and 40, or whatever you might expect there. And then there's some other examples in here. This is a deprecated function, which is funny. I mean, this is just shorthand for doing something else. I wonder why they deprecated it. Probably because it's confusing to see. So let's explain what's going on here. I'm going to bust out this syntax into what I suspect will be many lines. So I've got this map function. Wow. Oh, this is horrible code. This is written so poorly because someone wanted to get fancy with Lodash. There's so many function calls here. So let's show you what escape does. Show you, show me. One of the two of us doesn't know what it does, at the very least. This converts these characters into their corresponding HTML entities. So it would take this ampersand and turn it into an amp, which is valid in HTML, XHTML code. Okay, Lord. So this is saying map, which iterates over everything in the list, which is passed into the first argument, which in this case is the path of each bookmark. My God, what is it doing? No, okay. The bookmark for the given path, and it's giving you the display name of that bookmark. God, help us all. Okay. This is confusing syntax to me, actually. I see. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I don't like this at all. So it's taking each of those display names and putting escape characters in them, which actually I think well, actually those quotes should have escape characters. Let me grab one of these. And here, I don't know, no escape characters. And fine. So it escapes the characters from within there. So this is the end of the map function. It then concatenates onto the escaped string, the escaped display name, so in this case final exam. It joins onto that. And this is super annoying. So it takes the display name again and runs a join and puts a caret on the end of it, which is the little arrow guy. If there's another value afterwards, I think. This is textbook super clear to read code. Why would you do this? There are 10,000 easier ways to do this. Okay. This is really weird. I wonder if this will work. It's also possible that I'm in the wrong bookmarks list. Hey, look at that. Somebody already broke up this code in the other one. Does that make sense? Oh, wait, is that compiled code? That's gross. Nobody panic. I hate this so much. Unexpected token debugger. Yeah, okay. At any rate, I think that the short solution to this might be to pull out this middle concat clause. So, just to make my life simpler for now, I'm going to concat a blank string in there. We'll refresh this page. We will open the bookmarks tab. Okay, so, like I said, we got rid of one of the titles in the final exam, but it did get rid of the repetition here. You can see that there's still a caret at the very end, which is expected because it joins the caret there. I'm not entirely sure, because this code is so clear, what it was doing to ensure that there wasn't one at the end. Must be the way that this join and concat function works. So I'm just going to altogether get rid of that concat clause. Sweet. That did the trick. So we got rid of the middle one. It's sort of hard to explain why that fix makes sense. For us, it's a consequence of how we construct our courses. OpenEdX actually allows you to have a third tier of navigation here that we just don't take advantage of. So in our case, what ends up happening when we create these courses in the content management system for OpenEdX, which they call an LMS, which is a learning management system, we end up having a duplicate title. So I'm just no longer displaying that duplicated title. What I just did, the fix that I just implemented was essentially reversing the order of a concat and a join. That was putting this at the end instead of the beginning. I will reiterate that despite this being like functional programming, it is very non-legible functional programming, and especially the way that it was organized before is real bad. So one part of the solution here was actually figuring out what we needed to do to make this template display correctly. Now I need to get this added to my theme so that we are displaying the right, using the right template from within the theme, because what we don't want to do is use the bookmark list._ from within LMS. LMS templates, bookmarks. Care to show them my CSS solution? Yeah, where's your CSS solution? Justin, you want to share along a link? Oh, is it in the issue? It's probably in the issue. Yes, possible CSS fix. Justin is some kind of monster genius when it comes to CSS. Sorry, I didn't even see that in there, man. Wow, that is taking a while to load. Let's try again. This is likely my laptop freaking out. It is quite warm right now. What is going on? Ooh, wow, it did just take forever to load. So, the CSS fix. So this is just a copy of the markup from within the browser that Justin grabbed from probably our staging server or live server. What he did is he so this just formats what you see here. So we had the border around here, and there's some padding between lines, or between divs here, I suppose. Between items, yeah, no, around this div. Fine. It's this padding here. And then it grabs list item breadcrumb trail, which is this here that gets rendered. It then looks for the caret right. And I think this tilde is not screen reader last child? Question mark. Justin, you want to regale me what that tilde means in CSS? I don't necessarily remember, apparently. And it then zeroes it out, it looks like. So it hides it and super doesn't display it, essentially. So if I remove this rule, you can see that last hyphen disappears. Super clever solution, using some excellent selector magic here, which might be a nicer solution for us in the end anyway. See that? So focus there if you can. So what this is doing is it's grabbing the last child of, oh no, stupid mouse gestures here. It is looking for the very last span. SR I think usually means screen reader, but there's not enough ARIA-ness here for the screen reader to read you anything valuable here. This is maybe screen readers, things for the screen reader to skip. I'm not positive, because I haven't done much accessibility work. But so it looks for the very last of these screen SR classes, and it displays, or removes all the display. So I'd imagine we could get rid of lots of these rules one at a time, and we'd slowly see it reappear. But a good way to explain what this is doing is color blue. That should turn it blue. That's really hard to see. Font size 300 point. There you go. Big blue hyphen. So this selector grabs just the last class in place here. So if I went and grabbed this, and I went into here and I add a custom rule, we'll see them. Well, now I've got my modified code here. That's actually, this would still work to remove the last one displayed. So I'm going to add a rule. Please. Add a rule. Okay, we'll do it one thing at a time. JSBin's not super happy, or sorry, Chrome's not super happy with me. Man, I'm losing my brain early today. Man, come on. And we're gonna grab the set of rules from within it. Paste them in there. Okay, so now if we inspect the code in here, actually this may not work without the okay, well we can see it's actually being applied here to this guy. So if I slowly invalidate all of these rules, we'll see it reappear. Maybe not. Possibly not. All right. So let me revert my code, and I'll explain what's going on here. So first, I'm going to recreate this template inside of our theme, and I just won't recompile the theme so that it doesn't get built in. So this is under templates, bookmarks, bookmark dash list. Oh, there's so much in here. Okay. So in my theme, don't need JavaScript or Sass currently. Templates. I'm going to create a folder called bookmarks. And then this is bookmark dash list. I'll save that there. That will be our updated template. Man. Okay. Now how do I go undo those changes? So I'm going to go into Git and just undo those changes here. There it is. These are the changes I made. I'm going to discard them, and it'll go back to rendering what it once had. So if I now refresh this page and reopen my bookmarks, we'll see these in place, and then we'll drop that CSS rule in, and we will explore how that works a bit. Okay, this should be back, and come on. Oh boy, my laptop is properly slow now. Okay, there we go. So now let's add that rule in. So I'm going to go grab the repeated offender, as it were. And let's add a rule. So this is the same thing I just did, but as I refreshed the page, it disappeared. Drop in this rule. Okay, margin left. There we go. That's funny. You can see it shot way off to the left of the screen. I don't know if this is coming over on the stream at all, but between the line that says lesson 2, hello world, and then the line that says problems, there's a maybe 1 pixel wide orange stripe that's going way, way, way left because I just added that rule. Right, so, okay, I'm going to uncheck all these. You can see what it's applying to. Actually, this does not appear to be taking the right content in this case. I wonder what's wrong here. Oh. No. I see it. Yikes. Is it that this is in the wrong spot? Take away everything. Just use margin left. Oh, I see. I think the selector is wrong here. We're looking for list item breadcrumb trail, which would be this, and then a child of FA caret right, which would be either of these, and then any sibling that is the SR last child. So that's these hyphens. Oh, I see. So the SR classes are not displayed. Right? Yeah, these are for the screen reader to say hyphen. But this would be displayed, so, shoot. Right, so wouldn't that do it? Or am I wrong? Lord, now I've gone and done it. Okay, gotta refresh the page. That rule just went off into the abyss. Right, click the bookmarks tab. Essentially what I want to do is select the last one in here. The problem is, from the looks of it, the text is not within the span. So we could definitely grab this, which would grab that one. Sorry. That grabs the last caret, and I could say display none. Couldn't I? No. No, where did that go? There we go. Okay, so that got rid of that. Well, I got rid of that for all of them. Oh, right, because I'm not addressing anything that would have children here. Oh, I'm forgetting my lovely CSS selector magic here. And maybe this turned into a rabbit hole, but it's a fun rabbit hole nonetheless. That's where the sibling selector goes. That makes sense. Okay. Nope. Selects every UL element that are preceded by a P element. Okay, so this would select every span dot icon dot blah 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 that's preceded by that. Utterly makes sense to me. Maybe that's only the first one. Damn. Okay, load up my bookmarks tab once again, and let's poke around. Please don't navigate. Hey, what's it doing? Okay, we're going to create a rule for span dot. Yeah, Justin, I don't know if I have a good way to do this because this is the content within the H3 that's being hidden, right? So like that, there might be a virtual selector for this element adjacent to other tags, but this is sort of just the content within the H3 itself. I don't know, that is an interesting challenge. I'm certain there's a clever CSS way to do this. It might just take me forever to do. Very interesting though. Okay, well let's swap back to getting this template to display on our machine here. So I'm gonna look for wherever bookmarks list is used in the code here. I want to see what's loading this underscore template because we might need to modify that as well. Ah, shoot. Man. Okay. I'm specifically looking for where the underscore template gets loaded. Yeah, okay. Bookmarks list.js. So we might need to override this function in addition to that one. First, let's start by recompiling the theme. So I will double double check that I recreated mine within the theme in the right place. LMS templates, bookmark list. Yeah, okay, good. So I'm going to come back into my terminal window here, clear this, and recompile my theme without this fast flag, which should load that underscore template. I don't actually think it'll be loaded correctly this way, but it's worth a shot. This can be a little unpredictable. And with that, I'm going to go grab some water. I will be back in a moment. Okay, and I'm back. This is still compiling. Oh, looks like Justin has a suggestion. Let's grab that and we'll give it a shot. Hopefully my browser window is still loaded here. Okay. I get one shot at this. So we're going to create a rule for .list -item breadcrumb trail .fa -caret -right tilde span : last -child margin left. Let me make sure I got this right. I messed it up somewhere in there. Well, I can't refresh the page because my theme is reloading. We'll give that another shot in a minute here. As we wait for the theme to compile, which, if you've been here before, takes a while. Okay, I suspect this will not be loaded as a part of my theme, and as such, reloading this page will be visually no different. We'll say that. going so slowly right now. Come on, poor computer, you can do it. Yeah, okay, so my template did not load, which is frustrating and annoying. But it just means that I need to amend, modify, whatever the word we're going to use is. I need to replicate this bookmarks list.js from LMS static.js bookmarks views and put it into my theme. LMS static JS, new folder, bookmarks, and then views, and then that, and paste this here. LMS static JS bookmarks views. Great. Okay. What I need to do is modify this so that it's looking. What is that? Is there a define in here? Okay, this is the define. Okay, I've done this before. I forget the trick to it. We did it over here in the student account. Nice. So I don't know what that text bit is at all. But we will do Gymnasium / LMS / templates. Does that work? I don't think it does. I don't really know. We'll find out. This, of course, takes a few minutes to reload. Still going. Sort of feels like it takes longer every time. Might be my computer getting tired and full of swap rammy badness. Okay, we are back. We are refreshing. Let's see if I broke it. Ooh, I might have broken it. No, I didn't break it, but it's still going to load my template. Well, okay. I'm going to call it quits for the stream for the day as I go and figure out this annoying let's reload the server every 5 minutes type of task. Hey, thanks for hanging out. It's been awesome. Justin, thanks for your help as well. Had some fun playing with CSS today and doing a JavaScript code challenge from the internet. And next week we'll do another code challenge if I can dig one up that's suitable. And we'll carry on building some cool stuff on gymnasium.com. For the time being, if you need to get at me, my Twitter handle is on the bottom, and you can always email me at mbifulco@aquent.com. Have a good day.